Hello there. Football is in mourning this week for the death of one of the most influential figures in the game since the war, Billy Bremner, captain of Leeds and Scotland, and the player at the centre of the revolution at Elland Road. In today's special edition of the Footballers' Football Show, we remember the Bremner years, and I'm joined by three of Billy's closest friends. They were also teammates for so many years. Norman Hunter's with us today. Welcome to you, Norman. So too Terry Cooper, and it's also a welcome to Peter Lorimer. First thing I'm surprised about is there's not a black tie among you. Why is that?
Well, it hit us when he actually, well, me personally on Sunday when I was told about it, but I think you've got to, we've known Billy a lot of years, and he had a great sense of humour and stuff like that, and we were very sad that he has passed away, but we've great memories of him. I personally known Billy since I was 16. I came to Leeds and into digs up Beeston, and Billy was in there. So the little fella's been part of my life for about 38 years or something like that. So, but he had a good sense of humour, and I don't think he'd like us to mourn too much.
We'll try to tap into some of those memories on the show today, Norman. Terry, why no black tie?
As Norman said, he wasn't that type. He would rather we had a bottle of whiskey on the table, and we had a toast to him. That's the kind of a lad he was. He was always Mickey-taking, his life and soul of the party. And I mean, I saw him probably 6 weeks ago at Barnsley, and you know, as soon as he sees you, his big hug jumps on you. He's in the dressing room talking, you know, to the Southampton players, as it were, and he's infectious. And you know, the Southampton players thought he was marvellous because he went in and he was chatting to them, and they thought he was marvellous. And even after his career, you know, he'd stopped playing football, he thought he was still the captain. He wanted to look after us. I mean, I had problems. I was stressed out 2 years ago, and he was straight on the phone. Could he do anything? Are you all right? He's the captain, but you know, he wanted to look after his troops, as it were.
How did you hear the news, Peter?
Early Sunday morning. We knew. I'd heard on Friday he'd had a minor heart attack, but we were led to believe he was only in hospital for observation, and it wasn't anything that was life-threatening. And woke up on Sunday morning, like most of the lads, to get about the day, and the phone came. John Charles actually rang me and said, "Have you heard Billy has passed away?" And at first I didn't want to believe it, like you don't want to believe it. I thought, well, maybe it's one of these rumours that's got round, because at Elland Road on Saturday everybody was talking about it. And I thought, oh no, it'll be a rumour, it'll be some idiot that set off a rumour like that does happen. But unfortunately, as the day wore on, it became quite obvious that he had passed away, and it was just unbelievable, because I've never met somebody so full of life and bounce and virality as Billy was.
One of the things we do, Norman, in this trade is that we call modern players legends. We use this term legends very easily. In the true sense of the term, was Billy Bremner a playing legend?
Well, I think in our opinion, and anybody in Yorkshire that supported Leeds, I think he would go down as that. I've known him all the years, and seen him as a player. He could do anything, you know. He could do things with the ball that I probably couldn't dream of. And the way he led us, and what he could do on the field, people didn't realise. I think you could have put Billy in any position, anywhere on the field, and he'd given you a game. And you look at his contribution as a skipper, and then for Scotland too. You know, Peter was part of him in the Scotland setup. So really, people, as you say, use great far too easily, but this fella was a great player.
Peter, for you?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, like Norman said, when you talk about the great Leeds side, or in my opinion, the Scottish side that Billy was captain of in '74 was probably one of the finest sides Scotland's ever had. And the people in Scotland, I was up there only last week, and when you mention the side, or the Scotland side that day, the first name that comes out of the mouth is Billy Bremner. We get lots of Norwegians come over, and people from Ireland and travel, and they usually bob in to see me, and the first thing they mention, will Billy Bremner be coming down? You know, they all like to see him, because there's something about the way he presented himself and the way he was as a character. Everybody wants to know more about him.
For a lot of our viewers, Terry, as you're probably aware, many of Sky Sports viewers will not have remembered Bremner as a player. What would you say to them about what he actually was as a player?
Well, great players produce when it matters. And if you look at Billy's record, I think every semi-final or every cup final Leeds were in, he scored a goal. And great players produce when they've got to. And he produced week in, week out. I mean, I'm still involved in the Premiership. Billy's one of the few players that I've ever seen that could pass the reverse ball, and that means he'd be facing the right wing, probably going to shovel the ball out to Peter. I'd start running down the left wing, and I knew the ball was coming. Now, if any of us three had tried it, we would have had serious cartilage problems and ligament problems. Bill must have been totally double-jointed, because I've only seen him do that reverse ball, and one other was Don Revie, but bless him, he used to put his back out when he tried it. but they were the only two. There's nobody in the modern game can do that ball. But Bill was superb.
I wish you'd have told me a few times he was going to do that.
Like a lunatic all that time, yeah. He used to push him forward, didn't he, the gaffer, when anything was needed to be done. He used to push him in the box with 10, 12 minutes to go if we weren't in there and we weren't scoring. And the number of times he used to come up with the goals was unbelievable, wasn't it?
You see, I think the one thing with Billy was he had such belief in himself. He knew his capabilities. And not that he didn't trust in any of us. I think the minute we got in any kind of trouble, his general feeling was, there's only me can get this lot out of this. And he took it like that would be it. Off up the field he went, and little Johnny would, who was the cog in our team, would drop in there and call somebody in and fill in the gap. But Billy's honest opinion was, I'll get us out of this. And most of the time, like he did, to be fair to him.
He did.
What was he like to be, in your case, just in front of? You were in the centre of defence.
Well, I say it, when I used to win the ball, I was good at that. You know, I could win it. And then I used to have an Irishman and a Scotsman in front of me. If I give it to the Scotsman, I got told off of the Irishman.
Yeah.
If I give it to the Irishman, I got told off of the Scotsman. So from a central defender's point of view, it was absolutely superb, because whenever I won it, there was always one of them there, close to you. Johnny mainly, because Johnny, as Peter says, was the one, but little Bill was always floating around. You could always slide him in. And from my point of view, who I was told win the ball and give it to those who could play, they too were absolutely brilliant, and especially the little fella.
You could play a bit yourself. Well, you all could, actually.
Yeah. We wanted 3 balls, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
You know, you wanted one for John, one for Bill, and the rest we could share one.
Is there anybody in football today, again for the younger viewers, Terry, is there anybody in the game now who is like Bremner?
I thought that question might come up, and I was trying to think. Gascoigne with his dribbling. I mean, Bill had the quickest feet I've seen for a long time. I can remember playing small-sided games with him, 5-a-sides, and he used to use the ball as a carrot. And he'd bring the ball up, show you the ball, and you think, I've got him here. And as soon as you went for it, he'd whip it away, and it was by you. He'd got tremendously quick feet. When Gascoigne's on his game going forward, reminds me of Billy in certain instances. But like Norman said, he could play anywhere. I mean, he could finish. He could finish like Alan Clark. I mean, he was just a great player, big influence.
See, the received image today for us, Norman, perhaps, is of, you know, where he's got Mackay by the, or Mackay's got him by the throat, actually. Do you remember that famous photograph?
Yeah.
I think it's at White Hart Lane now.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that the Bremner image that's come down to us is of, as you say, a leader and a fighter on the field. What you're telling me is that he was pure quality as a player as well.
Oh, he was. You know, you don't captain Leeds United for the period of time he did in the players that were in the side, and then also go do it with Scotland if you haven't got great natural ability. And as Peter said, his belief in himself, wasn't it, was unbelievable. He knew he could do anything with that football, and he wanted to win. But this, like, I was slightly disappointed with certain things that have gone off. They weren't hitting on the point on what a great player he was. They were all on about this leadership and this aggression and everything else. I don't think you could put a price on Billy Bremner as it stands now.
Interesting question. What would he be worth in the transfer market today?
Well, he'd be up with the top of, when you see what he'd be a top price on. But the thing about Billy as well, you know, when he was out there, he demanded from other people as well. And I think sometimes seeing this guy shouting and everything, but he was Revie's general on the field. You know, he was Revie on the field. Don could get us prepared for the game, and Billy'd go out there and he would take over. You know, he was the man who's expected to keep us going when things were bad. And even with Scotland, when we used to go up there, he wasn't the kind of managers we mixed with up there, Willie Ormond, and that was a very nice man, but he was quiet. And he used to rely on Billy Bremner to get the players going, because he didn't have that side. He was a very good tactician, and he was a very nice man. He would pick the side, but all the time he was calling on Billy to be the one who would help with the players to get the adrenaline flowing through the dressing room, if you like.
Terry, there was more than one very close relationship, manager to player, in his career. Don Revie actually played alongside a few times, I understand, in the early days. Is that true? Norman, you probably remember that best.
Well, he may have, when I came, the gaffer was definitely at the club, and Billy started his career as a right winger, funny enough, and the gaffer used to play inside him, but I think it was only probably a couple of times, and then the boss got the player manager's job then, and then Billy just went on then. He started off on the right, but then gradually he just moved him into the right half position as it was then, but there was a great bond between them. And
did it stem from the fact that it was like two different eras at that time? Bremner, one of the leaders of the younger generation at Leeds, as was Revy from a different generation. He'd been a good player himself, Don Revy, a top player in his day.
Well, he'd been a good player, good long passer of the ball, you know, was the gaffer. But I think it happens now and again, and it happened with us lads as a group of people, how well you get on together, and you've got the mutual respect and everything that goes with it. And I think there was this special bond. I got on very well with Don Revy. There was one of us, Peter was in that group, and one or two others, but Billy had the special bond, didn't he? He was the one that the gaffer wouldn't have any hesitation in saying, come on into the office, sit down, let's see, sort out different things.
He loved Billy, he absolutely.
Yeah,
Don Revy loved Billy. It was like his #1 son. The only one that couldn't accept that was Big Jack to a degree, wasn't he? I mean, I can remember Big Jack saying at one talk when like Norman said, he was only too pleased to give it to Billy or Johnny. Big Jack could never accept that. I can remember it when Don had anything to say, Big Jack saying, yeah, why don't they push up the field and let me knock them balls? Well, I mean, you know, to anybody who knows Jack's passing ability, it was a joke, but, you know, that's what Jack didn't like, this thing, that Billy was the power of the thing, and I'm only here as supposed to be a stopper, and he couldn't accept it.
Was it always an harmonious relationship between Revy and Bremner?
Well, as much as we knew it was.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, like Pete says, the only problem was Big Jack, but in a nice kind of way, not a nasty kind. Jack had this thing that he'd intercept a pass, and he'd want to go on a run, and he'd beat two, and the third one would take him off. It would take the ball off him, and he'd put himself out of the game. Now, then all hell went then, because Gilesy would jump on Jack and say, hey, get yourself back there, in your position. When you get the ball, give it to me. And so for 5 minutes, you know, they would argue it.
Yeah.
But in a nice, not a nasty sense, because we all wanted the same thing. We all wanted to win. But,
it worked.
But Don Revy just loved Billy's ability. I mean,
it worked a lot of the time.
His ability was unbelievable.
You were certainly winners, all of you. Thank you very much for now. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll delve a little deeper into Billy Bremner's past with Leeds United.